Okay, welcome into Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, however you want to refer to me. No big deal. I've been called everything under the sun, and I don't care. So anyway, today is day 46 of a 365-day campaign, one video each day, 365 days, seeking donors big and small, short and tall, and very deep pockets who can redeem Philadelphia, since Philadelphia can't stand up to be a hero in and of itself, or the people within it, because everybody here has been operating in an upside-down, topsy-turvy world. No offense, I know there's beautiful people out there, but for some reason I'm in a matrix where I don't cross them too often, only here and there. And maybe people who are willing to work with me or what have you are kind enough right now. So it is day 46. And I wanted to bring up something very serious. Again, as I say every day here on my 365-day campaign, and today is February 15th, 2023. I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment the fourth Monday of January 2011. This would be a series of orchestrated events that would unfold in the wee hours of the morning, or the witching hours of the morning, when most people are officially at home and asleep. So it's that in-between time where even late night bar employees have closed up shop and are at home, maybe trying to get to sleep, and before the earliest of people would even wake up. So we're talking anywhere between 3:30, and 4:35 in the morning. So during that time period is when I thought I'd be murdered in my apartment by a whole bunch of things happened at once. There was clanking in front of my windows on a first floor apartment. There was an idling van outside. I finally had the balls, that's not the right word, but I finally had the courage to look out of my blinds, and I could see someone sitting in a van that was idling in front of my apartment. I was in a first floor apartment in the front of a row home, which is split into like front or rear. And then the second floor was one apartment, and then the third floor was one bi-level apartment that went up to a fourth floor. So anyway, at the time, the people who normally were behind me had been on vacation. They were conveniently on vacation. And this would be the daughter of a police officer who used to work, who's now deceased, but who used to work at the precinct on South Street, next door to Whole Foods. And she was married to a Middle Eastern guy, and they were in the Middle East visiting his family. So they were conveniently missing the night that all this kicked off. I can't recall who was living above me or if it was empty at the time. Someone else did technically live there, but I don't know if they were home or not. Anyway, my laptop's kind of snapped on by itself at the same time that there was this ruckus in front of my windows and by the bike stands. There are bike stands in front of a row home where I rented that first floor front apartment. And let that be an indicator to you if there's anything unusual, like a bench, a table, or bike stands in front of the home where you might rent an apartment. Just, a little hindsight is 2020. Maybe don't rent there. It might be part of someone's show. I wound up there for all kinds of reasons, but mostly I was trying to escape another bizarre situation. And I feel like I was forced into that apartment out of emergency and a sense of urgency. And it's just down the street from Sharon's Bank at 19th and South. And my name is Sharon. And I didn't think about it. I was like, oh, when I moved to Philly, I noticed that there was a Sharon's Bank sign, billboard. I knew a Sharon's Bank existed, but it didn't really resonate in my mind as like a big, gigantic deal. But after everything started, it became a little bit bigger and bigger, and it has an ATM that says Star ATM. So whenever you see Star ATM, I would, wonder if you're in an orchestrated section of the city or wherever, any community. So anyway, Sharon's Bank has a Star ATM. And it says Sharon Savings Bank. I've never gone in there. I've never used it. I do think there should be $5 million given to me, but I feel like that is an orchestrated section of the city. if you're someone who grew up in a normal way and a whole bunch of orchestrated people ambush you and attack you, like Reese, there's a new cereal out, or I don't know how long it's been out, but I just noticed it, but it's Ambush, these Reese peanut butter cups, Ambush Universe. I was ambushed by a bunch of morons and idiots. And I'm okay saying that because I can't believe what people are willing to do. And I want to know if they have to live with that on their conscience the rest of their lives. It sucks to have to live with a burden on your mind. I have no burdens. I don't feel, in fact, what they did was so bad that I don't feel badly about stupid little things like, you know what, I don't feel good today, I don't want to meet up. And you kind of say a white lie about not wanting to meet up with a friend or something. But technically, that's about as bad as it gets in my case. So anyway, they have to live with hurting and harming a person. I have never once ever intentionally harmed a person in my entire life. Never. Not intentionally. I'm not aware that I ever hurt anyone, other than kind of creating a distance with during a certain critical time in my life from like step family members, because I grew up a certain way, and it's like, well, now I had to go to a therapist. He's like, well, technically you have a choice. You're an adult. You can maintain a relationship with your dad and kind of distance from his wife and her kids. Since you felt sort of obligated in a way, you wanted to spend time with your dad, not necessarily them all the time. Everybody was forced together. So it's a way of like trying to gain independence and control, especially if you are cast into the role of being always the underling. Everybody else is in control. Everybody else is dominant. And when you're trying to feel in control of your own life and have some sense of leadership over your own life, sometimes you have to distance yourself from people who take over too much or act a little too much as if they know everything and you don't. Those kinds of things came up during childhood and all this. So anyway, point being, in this video, I wanted to talk about how bad it is and actually being in the presence of people when seeking assistance and help, of people who actually do the opposite of the right thing, even though they purport that they're doing the right thing. So what's the right thing? There are basics. When you're in kindergarten, you basically learn to be basically nice. Everything you ever needed to know, you learn in kindergarten, right? Well, these people, they're like people of a lie. There's a book called People of a Lie. I forget the author's name. As soon as I read the first line, done. This is a long time ago. I was like, I already know that I'm amidst people who are people of a lie. That's how easy that was. I was like, I get that. I totally get it, because it doesn't make any sense. So, and I'm not talking about business decisions or anything. I'm talking very basic things, because I don't know how people handle the world or whatever. But say you go to a therapist because you're seeking validation, which is legit. Everybody needs validation for whatever their traumas are in order to progress forward. Usually people with traumas are used to dealing with people who are like, just get over it, or, build a bridge and get over it, or, similar attitudes where they minimize their bullying against you. And someone's actually trying to like come up and people keep pressing down. So a therapist, the job of a therapist is to basically say, I believe you, I understand, it sounds like something bad happened or what have you. Let's figure out how we can work through this. And therapists can even sort of help you see the world in a different way in order to get around whatever blockages are there and existing. I actually sought out someone in Gainesville, Florida, and we won't get into his name, but I am there saying, I experienced all this stuff. I don't know how to explain it all, but I have PTSD out the wazoo, and I know I can be triggered into flipping out per se, and so forth and so on. This guy did the opposite. I'm glad I have experience with good therapists who tried to figure out how to help me navigate whatever was going on here in Philadelphia. And this was a women's nonprofit sliding scale, feminist-based therapy center, which no longer exists. Now, there are some people here in the big city who actually identify as feminist-based therapists or what have you, or LGBT-based or whatever. But you can no longer find this therapy center here. When I sought out help because I thought if I can get a more official documentation, PTSD, this, that, and the other, in order to get assistance or in order to find a job that would be suitable, like I can actually say, I have this and I need conditions that will help me work so that I'm not having to put up with too many people playing whatever games they need to play to feel superior in the world. This guy provoked me the whole way. I was like, I can't believe he's doing the opposite of what a therapist would do. This was in Gainesville, Florida, and I desperately was seeking some sort of like actual diagnosis or documentation to say, we do believe this person needs some sort of assistance because, and it's not because I actually would like to have a life. I want to work like normal people. But I know that I can be triggered. And I know people do things on purpose to trigger people. So, and he's one of them. So he did the exact opposite. I walked out of there going, that is effed up. Even after I was made to be scared in my apartment, made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment, it was bad. I called on someone who pretended, I believe now that she was just pretending and playing a role. She probably thinks she's a Russian spy or similar, or she probably thinks she's like this intriguing, she isn't. What's more interesting is she went on to be a therapist and she is messing with people's minds. But anyway, therapists are supposed to be supportive with whomever walks in with whatever that person is trying to unload. They're not judge and jury. They're not lawyers, none of that. You pay them to help you figure out how to get through the world. So anyway, this person I called, I think pretended to be interested in me. And when I put together all the pieces, it's like she was part of someone's show, or she willingly and consciously was part of some sort of setup. But I called her and said, I ran down to get my sister. This thing happened. And normally someone who's interested in you in some sort of romantic way or what have you, normally those people say, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm so sorry. What was it? What happened? Nope. This is what she said. Was it your perception or reality of what happened? And now she's out there messing with people's minds. That is a mind F. I think she got that line from something I wrote in a business article. I wrote an article saying perception or reality. And I was showing the different sides of people's viewpoints about something very business oriented. Is this what's going on in the market world or not? It wasn't about someone being traumatized. People will draw from things that you wrote and they will tie it in to their conversation with you, or they'll use it against you. I wasn't writing a psychology article. This was in a business article. There was a difference. So she did the wrong thing. I work at a yoga studio and find a hole in the floor next to the toilet. Everybody did the wrong thing. It was sizable enough and you could see down to the first floor. And I'm like, is there a bathroom down there, or is it an empty space? Could someone potentially do something wrong and exploit people here? There's a shower in the bathroom at this yoga studio in addition. So there's a lot of nudity in that particular bathroom. And a lot of people actually take showers. I got the opposite. I was like, should I cover it? I can put masking tape over it until you guys fill it in, or whatever needs to be done. I don't know how it got here. I got a slow response through a special communication system. They use Rocket Chat or Slack or what have you. And this was after Thanksgiving. And both the owner and management were very blasé, like, oh, it's been there forever. It's no big deal. The thing is, it's like, obviously there's something wrong. Most people would say, oh my God, we got to get that covered up right away. Just stick something in it or put tape over it. We'll fix it we'll get somebody called in later this afternoon or over the weekend or whatever. Why did they pretend that it was no big deal? It was right next to the toilet. So if someone were down there peering up or could stick a camera up through it, they could get quite an eyeful. So again, people doing the wrong thing who are in very important situations, meaning that's considered like a health venue, a fitness venue. There's exploitation of people's body parts, potentially. It seems like a setup to get someone riled up. Now, I come from a domestic violence background. I come from a background of having, realizing the importance of, protecting people and stuff like that. And they may not be as highly aware or educated. And they just sort of think it's not a big deal to have a big gaping hole next to the toilet in the bathroom with a shower. Also, there are other instances with dealing with yoga studio. And today, whatever is remaining, except for Ashtanga is a whole different yoga studio. I've never had experience with them personally. That's a very traditional, technically that's the correct, that would be like the base traditional yoga, and they don't really change it. They don't, unless someone sounds bitchy while teaching it, that would be the only thing they could do to mess people up. But other yoga studios, they're doing the wrong thing. And I called out someone a little bit on the pricing and how can I cancel? And they kept trying to tack on additional fees. It got to be too messed up and too confusing and too convoluted. They know they're wrong. And yet and then they turn it around to make it seem like you have the vitriol or the anger. And the thing is, they turn it around to make you look like the problem. I actually spoke to the person at the yoga studio where the hole was, and they tried to turn it around to make it seem like I was unprofessional because I kind of had a flip out stage. I went through a flip out thing of like, you guys should know there's a hole in the bathroom. Why do people keep setting Sharon up? What's the problem? David Cox, Gainesville, Florida. What's the problem, Yoga Habit? Maha. I don't know what to say about the yoga studio down in Passyunk. They're not teaching yoga. If people knew what yoga really was, 75 to 90 minutes, the vinyasa flow, people are being shortchanged all over the place. So anyway, but they turn it around to make it seem like you did something wrong. That's been my entire experience. In addition, I have cousins who didn't seem to care at all that I'm standing there after my mom, dad, and aunt passed away. They want to hurry up and sell the house for their own personal gain, despite the amount of money my mom contributed to that particular household and the dues for the lot and everything. They don't seem to care. Everyone did the wrong thing. And I'm standing there feeling as if I'm a never-do-well and a leech. Meanwhile, while in Gainesville, Florida, I worked 8 different jobs, 8 different employers actually paid me, 8 different people I had to report on my taxes. I want to know what everybody else was doing. Oh, we need you to move out within 3 weeks. 4 weeks is okay, but 3 weeks is ideal. While suffering the traumas of my mom's passing, my dad's passing, and then the aunt. My mom and aunt were living together and I was living with them. My dad was further south. That's the wrong thing to do to someone. They didn't seem to care at all. And I feel like they even played a trick with my sister because I thought for a second maybe there'd be a way she could come down. It got really convoluted and really bizarre. And I don't know what to say about the level of abuse that these people dole out. I don't know what to say. They are doing the opposite of what is right. Do what's right. They don't do that. We have liberals in Center City who know that I was tortured. And I reached out to them looking for a place to stay because it got so weird. And then my dog walking business, and they know they're wrong, started to dwindle. And the clients know they're wrong. And this was timed with the end of the Obama administration. Everybody knows they're wrong. And they're trying to make they had me trapped in dog walking. I kept trying to figure a way out. Can I get a job here? Can I get a job there? Had 2 or 3 interviews, an editing test. But still, they kept sort of keeping me in to dog walking so that I really couldn't escape. There are people out there who encouraged me to write all these books, but I had to pay for them. And they haven't paid me back. They know they're wrong. There might even be self-publishing companies, and they know they're wrong. And somehow I'm made to look like a leech or a never-do-well. It is not my fault at all that I've wound up in certain situations. It's other people's fault because criminals are running the show. And they kept me trapped in it. And then they try to make it look like I'm the one who did something wrong. Oh gosh, Sharon needs a place to stay. Do you think she's on drugs? Do you think she's, oh, we don't want to help her. And it's like, are you kidding? I am actually the most well-behaved, people wind up in all kinds of situations. I don't actually judge them for it. I know other factors contribute to people's problems. I would like to see half the people who treated me as if I were some never-do-well. I would like to see them working at Burger King next week or Starbucks. I want to see how they get by without their husbands to take care of them, without that extra income. I want to see how they get by without all the assets that were handed to them on a platter, without them ever once contributing. Everybody did the wrong thing, except for the poorest among us are the ones who didn't do the wrong thing. And some people wound up in situations where it's easy to say, oh, there must be drugs or this, that, and the other. But I want to know how people wind up on drugs. Nazis. So I am here to say that the list is never ending of people who are doing the wrong thing and claim to be doing the right thing and act as if they've earned or deserve anything they've had in life. They didn't earn it and they don't deserve it. I want to see everybody else having to scrape to get by, having to work at Starbucks. Aside from someone with a very specific training and education, which technically seems higher because of a doctor title, but it's very specific and it's a very narrow field. You learn medical stuff, that's it. Technically, I have the highest level of intelligence and education. And I'm nice about it and modest, typically, of everyone. And they will have to live with that fact. They have things because they have grandparents or parents who've been able to help them along the way, or spouses. And I was treated as if I did something wrong. I'm standing there feeling like a leech. I'm like, I don't want to be in this. I don't even want to be here, but I didn't know what to do because I've been forced into this direction by people who played a very criminal game and a very dangerous game. Everybody else is a criminal except for me and the poorest among us. How about that? The people with the most money are actually criminals and part of criminal rings. It's just harder to see. And you even have people in the fields of psychology who are part of major family rings. And they want to keep pushing you over here. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. We don't want you. You're supposed to lie to get through life. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to bring this up that can you imagine being the most innocent person and then being made out to be a criminal or a never-do-well? And you're sitting there like, I didn't do anything. Like, I actually didn't do anything wrong, ever. Ever. The inmates are running the asylum. Very sick people are out here playing a very sick game. And they want to shake out the nicest, sweetest, and most sensitive. They keep doing the wrong thing. I'm the only one who wants and tries and does actually do the right thing. So if I ever get the $5 million, I've already stated I would split that among the last 5 people remaining from the original marriage of my mom and dad. Because I want to know who the people are who get to look good, who forced people in other directions because they had the luxury of feeling in control. So anyway, have a good day. It sucks to be out here, and it's like, I actually was made to believe that people would fabricate evidence to make me look like some sort of pedophile from the LGBT. And what better than to have a woman? They need more women out there in the equality land, looking as if, doing time, because so many men had to wind up in jail for whatever reason. I actually think this is an agenda. Well, if we can't do that, then we'll drive her crazy, get her into a insane asylum. We want to make her homeless. Maybe we could set her up to make her look like a terrorist. Or suicide or harm other people, shoot other people, become a shooter. The list goes on and on. I got all the negative stuff and everyone doing the wrong thing. Not even an ounce of help when I moved away from Florida. Neither of the cousins, who are men, by the way, neither of them said, I know we're asking you to move because they made it seem like I was some sort of burden, and I'm the one who was working 8 jobs while they sit on their asses. I'm so sorry I can no longer carry you guys. I can't afford to carry you any longer since you guys are riding on my coattails. They didn't offer an ounce of help. We just need you to move in 3 weeks. Sorry, everybody's dead. And fortunately I worked for Shift and had saved some money, but still. Can you imagine saying that to someone's face? And I was even fired from Shift for no reason. That's the other company. They did the wrong thing. I reached out as much as I could. I called every number you could for Shift. I emailed everyone you could for Shift. I got no response on why my account was suspended. They can do things underhandedly, and they could choose to ignore you and never give you a real reason. It was very vague. You will no longer ever be able to work for Shift. I didn't do anything wrong. I so did not do anything wrong that I was willing to keep calling. Like, is this a mistake? Like, what? This is weird. That's gang stalking. I have no idea why I was fired. I didn't do anything wrong. And I couldn't reach one person who was willing to talk to me, even through email, to explain what their reason was. I just chalked it up to, okay, it's a fly-by-night company. They kind of do this to people. Or there are so many rings who use DoorDash and Shipt that those people could complain enough to make you look like a bad shopper, and they would have to go with the customer and never once stick up for their employees or look into it or think, I wonder what happened here. Meanwhile, I was one of their highest producing employees. Because of me, that company made a lot of money, and I know it because I hustled my ass off. And in shape, which means when people order 6 cases of water and they live on the 3rd or 4th floor of the many walk-up apartment complexes in Florida, I actually delivered those things. I can guarantee you that a lot of people working for Shipt in Florida, because I ran into them all the time, didn't have that level of endurance or perseverance or physical ability. I want to know how many orders those people reject or have the luxury of rejecting, while I actually did the work. I needed a paycheck. So anyway, I'll try to wrap it up because I could go on forever. So many people did the wrong thing. It is disturbing. And I would like all these people who think they're so superior and never had to work in a Burger King or a Starbucks or a Whole Foods or Ruby Tuesdays. I want their asses out there doing some hard work in order to get some supplemental income. Oh, you want to be able to afford that? You better get to Burger King. You better take on an extra job. What, you just work one job? That's it? Are you kidding? Better work two? It's okay, leave the kids at home. That's how my mom was treated. You know, your mom should take on some extra work. Are you trying to get everybody pregnant in the house so there's no parent home? My mom was treated like shit by people who were trash. And they only ever worked one job, part-time at times, while relying on someone else, my dad. Have a great day. They did the wrong thing, and it's illegal. Thanks.